Welcome to African American History Lesson 51. In this video, we will discuss the Afro-Caribbean migration to the United States from the West Indies. While millions of African Americans in the United States migrated to the North from the South, another wave of movement reshaped Black life in the 20th century. Afro-Caribbean migration. Arriving with distinct cultural traditions, political ideologies, and diasporic identities, Black Caribbean migrants brought new energy and new tensions to African American communities already in transformation. Afro-Caribbean migration to the United States increased significantly in the early 20th century, especially from islands such as Jamaica, Barbados, Haiti, and Trinidad. Many migrants were drawn by economic opportunity, political refuge, and educational advancement, particularly as U.S. imperial and commercial interests expanded in the Caribbean region. Afro-Caribbean migrants settled primarily in northeastern cities like New York, where they contributed to the growing Black urban population alongside African Americans from the Great Migration. These migrants brought with them unique cultural practices, strong diasporic consciousness, and vibrant political traditions, many influenced by anti-colonial movements and Pan-Africanism. Their arrival enriched African American cultural and intellectual life. However, it also sparked debates over class, identity, and belonging within Black communities navigating American racism and segregation. Afro-Caribbean migration to the United States in the early 20th century was shaped by both push and pull factors. The decline of Caribbean economies during World War I, including the collapse of agricultural markets and limited employment opportunities, prompted many Afro-Caribbean people to seek better prospects abroad. At the same time, the expansion of U.S. imperial and economic interests in the region, such as the 1903 acquisition of the Panama Canal and increased military and commercial influence, opened migration routes and forged closer connections between the Caribbean and the United States. Migrants came seeking not only work but also educational advancement and political freedom. Their arrival added a new diasporic dimension to the Black experience in America. Between 1899 and 1937, more than 140,000 Afro-Caribbean immigrants arrived in the United States. Many settled in Florida and New York, particularly in urban centers like Miami and Harlem. These communities often lived alongside African American populations already reshaped by the Great Migration. Although they shared a common African ancestry and experiences with racial discrimination, Afro-Caribbean migrants brought with them distinct national identities, customs, and dialects. This added further complexity to the racial and cultural dynamics of Black urban life in the early 20th century. The arrival of Afro-Caribbean migrants created both cultural enrichment and social tension within African American communities. At times, cultural misunderstandings and class-based assumptions fueled divisions. Some African Americans perceived Caribbean immigrants as aloof or overly assimilationist, and some migrants viewed African Americans as too entrenched in domestic racial struggles. Over time, these interactions also gave rise to new cultural synthesis in music, food, fashion, and community organization, contributing to a richer and more diverse Black American identity. Afro-Caribbean influence was particularly strong in Harlem, where Caribbean immigrants helped shape the politics and aesthetics of the Harlem Renaissance. Afro-Caribbean migration introduced new forms of religious expression and linguistic diversity into Black communities in the United States. Many migrants practiced Catholicism, Anglicanism, or Episcopalianism, differing from the predominantly Baptist and Methodist traditions in African American communities. Additionally, immigrants from non-English speaking islands brought languages such as Spanish, French Creole, and Patois into the mix, further broadening the cultural and linguistic landscape. These differences challenged rigid definitions of Blackness and helped shape a more globalized understanding of the African diaspora in the United States. Afro-Caribbean intellectuals played a key role in shaping radical Black thought in the United States during the 20th century. Influenced by anti-colonial struggles and Pan-Africanist ideas, figures such as Marcus Garvey, Claudia Jones, and Hubert Harrison brought a global perspective to Black liberation politics. Their experiences with colonialism and Black self-governance in the Caribbean informed their critiques of American racism and capitalism, helping to radicalize African American social movements. Afro-Caribbean thinkers were instrumental in building bridges between African American struggles and global movements for racial and economic justice, laying the groundwork for Black internationalism. Published in the October 1924 issue of Opportunity, Wilfred A. Domingo's essay, Restricted West Indian Immigration and the American Negro, offers a pointed critique of U.S. immigration policy and its impact on Black unity across national lines. A Jamaican-born journalist and Pan-Africanist, Domingo defends Afro-Caribbean immigrants against growing nativist sentiment and warns that restrictions on West Indian migration threaten to divide Black communities in the United States. He calls for solidarity between African Americans and Afro-Caribbean migrants, arguing that shared ancestry and common struggles against racism should unite rather than divide them. Domingo's essay reflects early tensions within the Black diaspora in the United States, while also envisioning a broader transnational Black identity rooted in mutual respect, political consciousness, and collective liberation. Afro-Caribbean migration in the early 20th century significantly reshaped the cultural, political, and intellectual contours of Black life in the United States. While the arrival of Caribbean migrants introduced tensions within African American communities, it also expanded the richness of Black identity, expression, and global consciousness. Through religious diversity, linguistic influence, and political radicalism, Afro-Caribbean thinkers and communities deepened the diasporic connections that linked Black struggles across national boundaries. Their contributions challenged narrow definitions of Blackness and helped forge a more expansive vision of freedom, one rooted in solidarity, cultural exchange, and transnational resistance to white supremacy. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also, please follow us on the social media platforms listed on the screen.